Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Thursday. I am Chef Jenny, and welcome to Homemade Cooking. Today, we are making a delicious Clementine upside down cake. It's got all the holiday vibes to it, so you're here on a good one. How are you surviving like the first official week of December? Are we doing okay? I know we are having an atmospheric river in Seattle right now, so it's a lot of water, which honestly is on brand. So we're hanging in there. Hopefully, you all are doing okay as well. Maybe even started shopping, dare I say. I finished my holiday cards this morning, and the sense of accomplishment rivaled getting a college degree. It was right up here. I felt really, really good about myself. I just staying as hi Deb, just stay as we're letting people come in. If you're willing, we'd love to see you, see your beautiful faces. So if you could share your camera with us, we always appreciate that. We love to see you, especially if we're taking questions. It's just not me here today. I've got my trusty co-host, Chef Kat. How's it going, Chef Kat?
Hi, Chef Jenny.
Have you done anything for the holidays in preparation yet?
I've only been thinking about all the food I'm going to eat.
And honestly, that's probably the most important work to do is strategizing the food. So well done to you, madam. You're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. You like cake, right?
Who doesn't?
And that's the right answer. That was a trick question. This is a way how you, I guess, maybe filter who your core tribe is. You ask, do you like cake? And then see how it falls from there. My favorite quote from Julia Child is something like, a party without cake is just a meeting. And I couldn't agree more to that. That's perfect. So we're doing cake today. Just not any cake. We've got friends. This class is in conjunction with the incredible Bob's Red Mill. So this recipe is from them. I highly recommend you all check out their website, bobsredmill.com. Let me tell you something. I am a pastry chef. I've been a pastry chef for 20 years here. There are certain brands that it's a baker's brand. There's certain brands that are it's what bakers use. Bob's Red Mill is my brand. It's one of those brands. I was so excited that I was teaching today's class because they're it. It's my whole cupboard's Bob's Red Mill. It's just high quality products. They really take care in their milling of their flours. They've got incredible variety of different ingredients, including gluten-free flours, all sorts of baking necessities. They have never left me down. I get very emotionally attached to brands that never let me down, and Bob's Red Mill is one of those. So it's a baker's brand. So as you're stocking up for the holiday season, not only their all-purpose flour, which everyone should, you're like, but Chef Jenny, I'm not going to bake. Buy all-purpose flour right now. Everyone needs all-purpose flour in the kitchen for December. It just needs to happen. But Bob's Red Mill products, stock up. They will take care of you. It's good stuff. So I think we're going to get started here now as everyone's joining. Again, if you just were let in, my name's Chef Jenny. I'm going to be your instructor today, and we are making Clementine upside down cake. Mwah, delicious. Wintry citrus, cake, caramel, all the stuff. Did I miss anything? I think that's it. Chef Kat is going to be running the chat. If you have any questions, just throw it in there. She'll let me know. We want to engage with you guys. Ask all your baking questions, all your cake questions. We're really going to try to set you up with all the knowledge today on how to make a great cake, the basics of making a great cake. And this is a great cake recipe. So we're going to get into it, engage, show us your camera. Anyone cooking along today? Show hands. Maybe? No? Yes, a little few out there. All right. Especially if you're cooking along with us. Ask the questions because we want to make sure you're set up right. So first step, we're going to get going here. I'm going to turn on my stove, just my little burner here. And I am going to start making a syrup that's going to go in the bottom of my cake. So I've got some brown sugar here, light brown sugar that I'm going to add into my pot along with some butter. I'm going to melt these together. And upside down cakes, the way they work is you put all your top layers in the base of your pan first. So I'm just gonna get this going. As this is going, I'm gonna prepare my pan, because the first thing we're gonna do is pour this syrup into our pan. So after it's done baking, when we flip it over, all that syrup is glazed the beautiful top of our cake. So I've got a 9-inch pan here. A little trick during the holidays, at any time with baking, save your wrapper from your butter, because that is the easy way to grease your pan, is to take it. Once it's done, it's still got a lot of grease on it, and you can put your parchment in there and line it, and it helps keep it from sticking.
Those butter papers also make really good wicks for fire.
Oh. Chef Kat and I coming at it from a completely different angle. We'll definitely need to team up in the apocalypse, because we both are obviously bringing different strengths in. That was a good one. I like that, Kat. So, something you learn early on in culinary school, because you're working with parchment, especially pastry school, which is what I went to, working with parchment roughly 50 times a day was the best way to cut around. I know I will be a financially successful person in my life. 2 things. If I have pre-cut parchment paper, then I know I'm really living the high life. The other one is if I have a garage fridge. When you have I was always the fancy kids growing up that had a garage fridge. I've never had a garage fridge, but I am holding out hope that, just for beverages, that's my dream. I'm not letting it go. But don't have one, and I definitely don't have pre-cut parchment at home. So how do we get these perfect rounds? A little trick, parchment paper. So if you have a full parchment paper here, I'm gonna fold it in half. This is a half sheet, so I'm folding it in half. Now I have a little rectangle. And then I'm folding this in half again. And I've got this size, if you can see. Okay. Now, I'm going to make a little triangle out of it. You can see. And one more fold to do a triangle out of. See? It looks like that. It almost looks like a paper airplane. And then I take my pan, whatever pan you're using, go from the center out, and then I'm gonna cut right where this ends. So I'm cutting right there. And then when it's done, I got myself a round that fits inside the pan. That was worth the cost of pastry school to learn. I went to student loan debt to learn that, and I have 0 regrets. This is like the amount of times I've traced a cake pan and tried to cut parchment, forget it. That's about as crafty as I get. I don't needlepoint, I don't sew, I don't crochet. That's it. I feel like that's enough. That's served me well. So I've got my butter over here. I'm gonna go up a little bit because she needs some more leaven over here. Basically, almost like we're making a toffee syrup. So I'm gonna melt this down. And then that's gonna go first thing in the base here. So it's almost like we're building our cake backwards. So we're gonna keep melting her and then go over to our next part, which is our oranges, our clementines. Look at these guys, aren't they so cute? I love these for table decorations right now. They look really beautiful on tables. I love citrus. I grew up in the Central Valley of California where all the citrus is grown. I love citrus so much that these little guys were my name holders for my wedding seating chart. So when people came to find their names, we had a little green leaf on here that had their name on it, because I made my parents bring up Central Valley citrus. That's how much I love citrus. So clementines grow in California mostly, and they're a hybrid between mandarins and sweet oranges. So they're less acidic, and they've got a really sweet flavor to them, which makes them perfect for desserts. It's citrus season right now, so all the citrus is out. I think I've been seeing pomelos everywhere, grapefruit. This is the time to really stock up on citrus. use them from everything from centerpieces, like I said, salads, and then obviously really beautiful desserts. And as you can see, I'm just melting here my brown sugar and my butter. How we doing out there, Chef Pat?
We're doing pretty good. We do have a question
Yes.
here, but really quickly, could you just pull your mic a little bit from your mouth?
Oh, yes. Can you hear that a little better?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah? Okay. There you
Somebody
go.
asked what you can sub for clementines here.
Yeah, try any citrus. So just regular oranges, blood oranges. If you want a little bit of a more bitter profile, you can go with halves of grapefruit. So really, I mean, play around. I think any kind of different, there's so many different orange varietals out there, sweet oranges, tangerines. Play around. So if you can't find exactly clementines, any orange that you got is good. Okay, so I'm just gonna do a little demo here of slicing the oranges. I'm gonna make a little small slice. So the stems, top to bottom, I'm gonna make a little slice on the side because I want this round. I don't want this too round. I want this to get a little flat so it won't roll. And then I'm gonna start slicing very thin rounds. I have a really sharp knife. This is essential. If you have a mandolin, you can try that. And I'm just gonna make really thin slices, as thin as you can get them. And having that flat little edge is going to help me put these guys in. And then when it gets to that little nubbin, it's not worth cutting off your fingers. No ER visits during December, y'all. That's the goal. Let's manifest that. And then this goes with my other oranges that we got in the bowl. So these beauties you can see really thinly sliced. We're gonna do about 4. So I'm gonna take my syrup here that I've got, my little toffee, kind of just like how you make upside down cake with pineapple. You have your little caramel toffee first, and then I'm just gonna spread this out.
So we are leaving the rind on these clementines.
You can take it off or you can leave it on. It's up to you. I kind of like the rind on because I'm doing it so thin. It'll melt away, but that's absolutely a choice for you all. I like the visual of the rind. But let me show if you want to take the rind off. Clementines actually peel really easily. Do you see that? Because they're smaller, you can peel these really easily. If you want to get fancy, you can get a paring knife out and scrape the sides. But I did that in pastry school. I'm definitely okay not doing that again. So it's up to you. So you can take the rind off and then simply slice it like this. Again, do it really thin. So it's up to you. I personally like that flavor of the rind, so I keep it. And then you can just layer these. Actually, you want that cut side down. And I actually start in the center and go out from the center. So then when we turn this over, all this will be on display.
This looks like a really great time to like experiment with all that different citrus.
Well, think if you use multiple different colored citrus, and then you can have all the colors playing off each other. So you can do grapefruit or blood oranges or lemons, and then you have all those colors playing off, and you can alternate them. So then you have a beautiful pattern. This is where I spend like 2 hours playing, and then I realize I have other things to do because I get hyper focused on it and I'm having too much fun.
I know I would do that too.
Well, then I start pretending I'm on Great British Bake Off, and then Paul's gonna come and tell me that could have been neater, and then I start thinking of that, and then I realize, no, this is just for my family. They really don't care. So, okay. So you can see the alternating. You can leave the rind on, take it off. It's up to you. Again, whatever citrus you can find. Citrus is in season right now, so you can really play around and do different colors and flavor profiles with it. But I'm really happy with that. I'm really excited about that. So boom, we got that part done. Now we're gonna start working on our cake mixture. So the first thing we're gonna do, which I love this step in here, is we're gonna zest 2 additional clementines into our sugar. In the zest of this orange is the essential oils. That's where all the really concentrated citrus flavor comes from. If you're getting an orange oil or lemon oil, you get it from the zest. So we are gonna zest this orange, these little oranges into here. Highly recommend a microplane. A zester is one of those instruments that does not take up too much space in a kitchen and does many different things. And that's the kind of stuff I want in a kitchen.
And
great stocking stuffers, y'all.
If you don't have a microplane, you can just use the really small grate on a grater.
And a cheese grater, absolutely. Or if you even just have like a cheese grater, those work. Whatever you can get. And I can already, it smells incredible just from this zesting. Like my hands, I feel like I just lit a holiday candle. And you don't want to get to the white. Once you get to the white, you want to move on because that's the pith and that's the bitter part. So you just do a little scrape and move it around. Everyone's got their own ways. Some people go like this. I'm always one of those that I like to stabilize it for my wrist, and biomechanics always feels better to me. So we've got our zest in there now. And go over to your mixer and add it in. You can do this by hand, but I'm just gonna do this in my mixer and add my zest and sugar in. And turn this on low to mix it together. Because the granules of the sugar are actually gonna shear that zest and really expose and bloom and get that oil out. So it's like massaging that oil out by doing this. So just on low, it doesn't need to go high and get sugar everywhere. But we're just gonna go ahead and combine this zest and sugar and really get it crumbled up and released. And I'm just gonna take my spatula even and release it against the side. Oh, it's so fragrant. So this is like almost adding, this step is like adding orange extract into our cake batter. And I am definitely gonna save that juice from those oranges. Those won't go to waste. I'll probably pop those in a smoothie or something later. All right. So, zest in here, and I don't even know if you could see from down here, but can you kind of see how it's got a little bit of the orange tint to it? That's how I know I got some of that oil out. So, step 1 of something I can share with you about how to make really successful cakes is this tool, a spatula. We are going to be stopping as we go, as we make this batter, and scrape down the sides. I have the paddle attachment on. If you're using a hand mixer, you want the ones that have the flat blades, not the whisk. We don't want to be using a whisk for creaming. And we're going to do a step called creaming. I've got unsalted butter here. If all you have is salted, that's okay. Just omit the salt from the dry ingredients. It's room temperature. If you can see, I'm pressing it. It's not greasy, it's not melted, but it is soft. That's what you want. So room temperature doesn't need to be hot or melted when you see that in a recipe. It just needs to be soft. It doesn't need to be firm. I'm gonna add this in here. I'm gonna start off on medium speed, and this is a really important step in cake making called creaming. And cookie making is one of my biggest pet peeves, which I totally understand, but I think as a nation of people, we are collectively under creaming our cookies and cakes. Creaming should take around 3 minutes. And you go, yeah, I feel like I'm doing that, but I get it when you're physically holding up a hand mixer and going. 3 minutes is a long time, but you need at least 3 minutes. You need that color to start changing. So I'm gonna put this here. I'm looking at the clock. We want to get 3 minutes going. So don't go on high first, otherwise it's gonna go everywhere. But we're getting our cake going. We want to incorporate air. So we want to make sure to also that our ingredients here are room temperature. If your butter is really cold, it's going to prevent all of the ingredients melding together, really thoroughly mixing together. And that affects how moist your cake is and how much volume you can get. The more air we can get in here, the more volume we're going to get in our cake. So it's not dense and heavy, it's light and fluffy. You can overmix though. If you mix too much, you can get big holes in your batter, and then you can get dips and your cake can collapse. Also, too much air can actually make the cake a little dried out as well. So it's a Goldilocks thing of too little, your cake can be a little dry, too much, your cake can be a little dry. I find 3 minutes usually is always a really good call, but I'm gonna stop right now. Like I said, the magic tool, which we don't do enough, and scrape down the sides. Sometimes butter gets stuck on the bottom, so we're just gonna scrape and get this going. Lock it, oop, can see, lock her up. Still, I can tell it's too dark in color. I need that, get that color lighter. So while this is going, I'm gonna mix my dry ingredients together. Have you ever made a batch of cookies or muffins and then a couple on the tray go rogue and they really spread out or they're really lopsided? It happens to the best of us. A lot of the times that's due to not having your ingredients mixed enough, especially your leaveners. So our leaveners here, we have baking soda and baking powder. We want to make sure these are really thoroughly mixed together. I've got my Bob's Red Mill here, all-purpose flour. All-purpose is the one that's got kind of the average amount of protein in it. Protein in flour is called gluten. If you mix too much, you develop too much gluten and you get a really tough cake or cookie. So we're not kneading dough here and making bread. We really don't want to overmix. And we don't want to use bread flour here because that's got too much gluten, too much protein in it. It's going to make for a tough cake. So we are doing all-purpose flour right down the middle. It's kind of right in between bread flour protein amount and cake flour protein amount. So it's right there. If you have cake flour, you can do that too. But we also want to make sure that we've got kind of this caramel and this fruit on top, and when we invert it, we don't want our cake to collapse, so we do need a little structure there. So all-purpose is perfect for this. I've got salt, baking powder, and baking soda. Those are my dry ingredients. And then I'm just gonna take a whisk and whisk this together and make sure it's fully combined. So again, not all flours are created equal. As a pastry chef, I have worked with all the flours. And Bob's Red Mill is it's my flour, man. It's always there, always supporting me during hard times, always has my back.
Especially, I love getting the gluten-free products from Bob's Red Mill. It's just like, if I need a gluten-free product, that's what I'm getting.
Those are definitely not all made the same. So they have incredible gluten-free products. So if you are, during the holidays, having people come over where you need to do some gluten-free baking, check out their line of products as well. Again, bobsredmill.com, check them out. And they've got some really great holiday recipes they're featuring now. So if you're liking this recipe, you're like, I need more, check them out. Almost there. I'm going to go a little higher, about 1 more minute. And then I've also got my cranberries over here. I'm going to use my cranberries to decorate now. I'm going in the center first because I don't know, there's something about my brain that loves the idea of these being in the center. This is where you see how everyone sees patterns differently in their head. Where I look at this, I'm like, well, first we need cranberries in the center, obviously. And then I'll fill them in around. Cranberries have a lot of moisture in them, but they also have a lot of pectin. And pectin is a thickener. So as this cooks, a lot of that moisture is going to evaporate out and go into our sauce, but then all the pectin is also going to thicken it up. Cranberry orge is a classic flavor combination, especially around the holidays. I feel like cranberries give the perfect amount of bitterness that we're gonna need. I love making cranberry orange quick breads during this time of year, like for a breakfast loaf. I feel like because there's orange and cranberry in this, then this qualifies as breakfast because it's fruit. Tell me I'm wrong. It's orange and it's cranberry. It's practically a fruit salad, y'all. So I feel like you could serve this for breakfast. Kat?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Right?
I will 100% eat this in the morning with a cup of coffee. Perfect.
With a cup of coffee. Stop it. Oh my gosh. This is also one where I could spend about 2 hours doing this, creating a kaleidoscope of images with cranberries. And then again, I'm neglecting all my other chores because I'm having too much fun with this. This is a good recipe to do with little ones because this would be so fun for them to like start playing around. I mean, kids love playing with food. This is one where your hands get really in it. Just have to be careful with the toffee once it's, make sure it's cooled down so they're not, because that sugar can get really hot. And then now that I've got that, I just start sprinkling around. Now it's just a free-for-all. Yum. So someone could be doing this as someone else is making the batter. So if you have people coming over, this would be a fun one to work together in the morning for breakfast and do.
I love the colors already.
This is holidays. This is all the holiday. Imagine how good this is going to smell when we put it in. This is all the holiday vibes. Okay, I feel really good about that pattern. So we've got our butter here creamed. You can see, let me go here. Can you see the lighter color? You see that color change? That's what you're looking for. So if you're not having that color change, it means you haven't mixed enough. So we've got our color change. Again, I'm using my spatula here. You want to take the time and scrape because these little clumps of ingredients, if they don't get fully mixed in with everyone else, that's where you get little dips in cakes or cookies. That's where you get unequal spreading, uneven spreading. Again, that's not going to keep me from eating a cookie or cake. But it's these little tips that help. Okay.
Got a quick question here. If
Yeah.
you can't, what can you use if you don't have fresh cranberries?
Fresh cranberries, also frozen cranberries would be fine in
even
here.
Dried cranberries would be good too.
I think dried cranberries, if you have dried cranberries, okay, this might be telling a little bit about myself here now. But if you take dried fruit, 'tis the season. December is the month of taking dried fruit and hydrating it with your favorite liquor.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to say that.
I knew I was going to say that, Chocat. So this is an orange cake. So taking a little more of that orange liqueur that we're using in our whipped cream, so like Grand Marnier or Cointreau, heating it up, pouring it over dried cranberries, covering it, your little container that has them, let it sit for about 20 minutes to half an hour, they'll hydrate. And then you can add them in here. You can also use orange juice. You could use apple cider to hydrate if you don't want to use, you could just use hot water, but why use hot water if you can use Grand Marnier? That's all. I've said that many times in life before. I say that all the time. Why use water when you can use Grand Marnier? So, frozen cranberries would work really well. Frozen blueberries and blueberry and orange work really well to go. If you find some frozen ones, they have a lot of pectin in them too. There's not really a fruit that doesn't go great with orange, like pears. It's the season for pears, so you can slice them up and use them as well.
This is a fruit salad.
It's breakfast. It's basically a parfait, you guys. All right, so I've got my room temperature eggs. Again, we're really wanting to highlight using room temperature ingredients. If your ingredients are too cold, they're not gonna allow the mixture to get really thoroughly mixed in. So let me just get the egg off my hand. And then I got a little vanilla. December, also sponsored by Vanilla Extract. Adding that in, going low. You can do your egg one at a time. But we're just gonna, for the sake, add them both in and let it mix in. Now, we've got our dry ingredients here, and then we've got our buttermilk. We are going to alternate our dry ingredients with our buttermilk, which is our wet ingredients. I will fully confess to you that for many a time, whenever I saw this in a recipe, I would look at it and say, I'm not doing that. I don't have the time for this today, absolutely not. I'm just dumping everything in. And it's still delicious. But there is actually an important reason for why we're doing this. It's so that we slowly give our batter a chance to hydrate properly. By alternating our dry ingredients with our wet ingredients, it's much easier for that batter to absorb each stage, and that in the end is going to prevent us from having to overmix. Once we have gluten, which is in the flour, meat moisture, which is in here from the eggs and the buttermilk, gluten's going to start developing. And the more we mix it, the more gluten we get, and the more gluten we have, the tougher the batter is going to be. Don't overmix this. So this is actually a really important step to prevent us from overmixing our cake and having a tough cake. As well as buttermilk actually has acid in it. And cakes with buttermilk tend to be very tender and moist because acid will go up and break up a lot of that gluten. So cakes with yogurt, sour cream, mayonnaise. I know we got some mayonnaise cake people out there. I've fully done that. It's delicious. Buttermilk, this acid helps keep our cake moist and not have it be tough. So the way we do this is we're going at thirds. So first we're gonna do, and just eyeball it, I'm going a third of my dry ingredient. Gonna stop, mix, not on high, you'll have flour everywhere. Stop, we're gonna give it a little scrape, and then add our buttermilk, a third of our buttermilk.
So actually, I have a little bit of a question here.
Please.
What do we do about lumps in the batter? Like, what is our opinion on lumps in this batter?
I'd rather have a few lumps than you overmix the cake and have no lumps at all. Because at that point, you're gonna have no lumps, but a very tough batter. That is absolutely also my philosophy. That's a big one with pancake batter. If you overmix pancake batter, you have a really flat, tough pancake. Lumps are always okay in pancake batter. So I'd rather have a few than none at all, but have it be tough. I mean, you don't want, if the whole thing's really lumpy, then definitely keep mixing. So now I'm just gonna do half this dry ingredient.
Could we also move the mixer a little bit closer to the stove so we can see what's
Absolutely.
happening?
Can we see more there? All right. Just mix on low. I'm not trying to get this too tough. Just giving it a chance to slowly hydrate. When you do realize that this makes a huge difference, it's almost infuriating because you want the shorter, quicker answer, but this really does have a huge difference. The first time I had a cake like this in culinary school, we were comparing them by doing this method with not, and I was like, oh, I've been doing it wrong this whole time. It's still cake. It's still delicious. And then half this buttermilk. Buttermilk is the liquid that's left over from making butter. So it's definitely, if you're not around it, it's understandable to think that it's really high in fat because it has butter in the name. But actually the butter gets all the fat, so the liquid that's left over is usually non-fat or low fat. And then it used to be left to sit out and it would naturally culture kind of like yogurt. And you'd get that really acidic flavor. But now it's just got a lactic acid bacteria added to it, and that's where you're getting that tang from. So buttermilk is a secret ingredient. If you don't have buttermilk, for every cup of milk, you add 1 tablespoon of an acid, like a vinegar or citrus juice. Lemon juice, that will give you buttermilk if you don't have any on hand. And if you want to try a plant milk, you can also do that with a plant milk. And finally, the rest of my buttermilk. So that's a good substitution to know during the holidays. If you need buttermilk, you just need like low fat or non-fat milk plus 1 tablespoon of an acid. I wouldn't use like a red wine vinegar. I would just use a white vinegar or maybe an apple cider vinegar. Definitely don't use like a seasoned flavored one. Okay, now I've got my beautiful batter here. I always stop it when it's got like 10% left to go because I'd rather finish that last bit by hand. So I take this and I just take by hand, I fold the last bit. I make sure you scrape the bottom because that's where a lot of butter and some batter can get stuck in a mixer. And now I've got this nice, really beautiful fluffy batter that I'm gonna just pour over right in the center on top of my cranberries and orange here. Okay, do we have any questions about Cake 101? About buttermilk? About this process of doing alternating dry and wet? And when you do this, you always want to start with dry and end with dry. Or end with wet. I think I ended with wet, but biggest part is to start with dry. That's what the first one you want to start with is.
I had a question about that buttermilk substitute,
Yeah.
the lemon and milk. How would that impact like the texture or the consistency?
Honestly, it's not going to be too far off. If you're using a plant milk, I work with plant milk and baking all the time, and it's not a huge difference. So I think, and I get plenty, it's very easy to get tender cakes with plant milk. So I definitely think you'll be okay. So I'm just going to try a little offset spatula, another great stocking stuffer. As you can see, I'm just going to try to evenly spread this as much as I can. And we're going to go 350 degrees, around 40 minutes. You want to touch the cake and make sure that it springs back. You could also do a toothpick test and make sure that it comes out clean. That's how you know it's ready. So into the oven. Good luck to you, my lady. And that's our cake batter. Cake batter 101. Pretty good, guys. So next step here, we're actually going to make a little syrup for our whipped cream. We are going to make an orange liqueur whipped cream, which you might be curious why we're doing a syrup, but we're going to cook off some of that alcohol. And it's also a chance, if you would like to infuse the syrup, you can add a bay leaf in here. You can add a thyme sprig and get a nice herbal note to it. You can even add a cinnamon stick in here. So this is a great chance to infuse your whipped cream. So I've got equal parts sugar and orange liqueur and just a little bit of water to help that get going. And we're going to cook this for a couple of minutes just to kind of get out the, I'm looking to get out the, cook off a little bit of that alcohol flavor. If you don't want to do the syrup portion, there's a 1/4 cup of syrup in here, or 1/4 cup of alcohol in here for syrup. If you want to skip this, you can just do the cream, the powdered sugar, and start with 1 tablespoon of liquor that's not cooked down. Taste it and see where you go from there. This is how you find out how boozy we're all feeling during. This is how you know how your December is going based on how many tablespoons of liqueur you put in there. So I'm just going to cook this off a little bit.
I had a question about
Please.
the batter. What if it's too liquidy?
If the cake batter is too liquidy, I would say at that point, just go for it. Pour it and bake it and see how it goes. The second you start adding more flour in, you're throwing off the whole ratio of the batter. And I get this as a pastry chef because we get this a lot of times of like, It's a very finicky science, and it really is. It's not simple like, oh, this looks a little thick, let me add some water. Or this is a little watery, let me add some flour. You have to add the right ratios along with the baking soda, the baking powder, and then everything is kind of off. So throw it in the oven, see how it goes. Maybe you just have to cook it out a little, like 5 minutes extra, but I wouldn't really, unless it's like pure soup, then I think something went awry. You can try cooling it in the fridge. Letting it sit in the fridge for half an hour might give it a chance to hydrate. So sometimes, like with pie dough, if you let it sit in the fridge for an hour and you come back, it's a lot smoother than when you put it in because it slowly hydrates. So if you can wait, throw your batter in the fridge for half an hour and maybe it'll thicken up as it gets in there. So I'm just making my syrup here. I'm evaporating some off of that alcohol. I feel like I'm getting an orange liqueur facial right now. Delicious. I'm just gonna turn it down. We're really looking just for about like 3 minutes here to make our syrup. And again, we're doing this to give you a chance to infuse. So a thyme sprig, a bay leaf, a cinnamon stick, cloves, whatever you feel like, a cardamom pod, kind of whatever you feel like maybe infusing your whipped cream with, you can. And again, if you don't want to do this step, then just add 1 tablespoon of orange liqueur with your cream and powdered sugar. So you have options here. Chef Kat, you want to grab us our
Yeah, definitely.
wonderful powdered sugar? And then I'm just going to take this over to a pan to cool a little bit, my little pot. Because we don't want to add our hot syrup into our whipped cream. And then I've got beaters. Who's got beaters like these? My mom had beaters like these. And then I used to be able at the end to lick in between. And it was always a fraught game not to like get your tongue stuck in there. So I'm going to take a quick drink of water here. How are we doing with questions, Chef Kat?
We're doing pretty solid here. I think putting a cinnamon stick in this syrup would be top notch.
Yeah. I'm almost thinking, what about a little ginger?
Ooh.
Because ginger and cranberry and orange? I don't know.
Yum.
Ginger and clove? Okay. So I have my syrup just chilling out a little bit over here. We waited to bring out the cream until now because making fresh homemade whipped cream is really easy. It's literally sugar and cream and mixing it. And you can do it by hand if you don't have a mixer. It's a great game to line up family members, give them a minute, and see who can get there. So we got some heavy whipping cream. I think that's the thing you have to know is not cream, not half and half. You need heavy whipping cream. Do we know what the difference is with heavy? Heavy is the word, guys. It's got more fat in it. So it's got all the fat, which is what my December is sponsored by, all the fat. So heavy whipping cream's got all the fat, and it's really cold. So that's what you need for homemade whipped cream. So I'm adding this in here. I'm going to add powdered sugar, and I'm going to start mixing. Kat, what happens if I mix too long?
You make butter.
I make butter. Do you know this is how you make butter? Butter is just all the fat and heavy whipping cream. I've done it. You can make your own butter. So I'm going to go here. Hopefully this isn't too loud. There is something very relaxing watching cream get mixed, I must say.
We've got a little hack in the chat here from Patty. They chill their bowl and the beaters.
And the beaters?
Yeah.
That's a pro move, Patty. I see you. That's real stuff right there. Absolutely. You can already see it getting thicker. Don't walk away. The urge to walk away right now is overwhelming, but don't you do it. That's how you get butter, because you're going to get distracted by something and you're going to come back. I love watching it get thicker. It is, ooh, I'm getting a little splatter, so that's okay. You gotta start slow. I love watching cream. I do wish in my younger days before I was like piling up waffles with all the whipped cream that it's butter sauce basically is heavy whipping cream. I didn't realize that. I thought it was its own thing. Oh, so you can already see it getting thicker here. There's different stages. I think what we want for on top of a cake is soft, smooth peaks. You don't want to go so firm that it's really stiff and a little bit grainy. At that point, it's considered over whipped. And I think a lot of times that's what we think it's supposed to look like. So right here, it's almost where I want it for a cake. So just keep that in mind. So I'm going to add a little bit of my delicious orange syrup in. And I'm not going to waste that. So I'm going to add a little bit in and taste. You can see it's almost there. Got cream everywhere. That's okay. And I'm kind of feeling like this is where I want it. Otherwise, past this, you see that? Kind of see how stiff it's still on there? Past that, we are going to be overmixed. And I'd rather have it be a little undermixed than overmixed. Did I get cream everywhere? Yes. Do
Maybe
I care?
a little bit.
No. Yeah, it's December. This is where, again, I'm just using December as an excuse to have absolute chaos in my life. It's December, y'all. Okay, I'm going to give it a little taste, see if I want more syrup. Actually, I'm feeling good about that. You can taste, it's really going to be custom and personal. So taste and see how you feel and go continue to add more. And then after that, if you still need more orange liqueur, add more in. There's no judgment here. So we did a little swap out with our cake. And we had a springform pan here. I think the biggest tip to let you know is when the cake comes out of the oven, take a knife and run it around the side. A little tip is actually use the dull side of the knife, the back of the knife to do it, because the sharp side will actually drag cake with it. So you take the dull side and run it around the inside when it's hot, and that way that's kind of preventing it from sticking. And then because we had that parchment there, hey-oh, look at that. Look at those beautiful oranges, the cranberries have kind of gelled that caramel. Huh. I'm having feelings, Kat. I'm having all the feelings right now.
Looks like a good breakfast to me.
Breakfast? This is dinner right now. What are you talking about? It's going to be dinner and dessert. So you can see we left the peel on this one. And the peel really cooks down in that toffee, and you can cut through it. Because the peel has so much essential oils and delicious flavor, I highly recommend keeping it on. And then I'm just going to take this and put it on my plate. And then what's a December size serving of orange liqueur whipped cream?
Whatever your heart says it is.
Well, it's the whole bowl. But I'm just going to do a little, I want it like pouring off. Yeah, I'm doing a second scoop, y'all. And then I had some leftover oranges over here, Clementines. I just add a little on the side. Just because it's for yourself doesn't mean you shouldn't make it pretty. You deserve that, y'all. And then the hardest part of any class is the quality testing that I'll do here. Let me just see. Look, I mean, can we have a moment? Look at how beautiful that looks with that mountain of cream on there. Our cake is so tender. And then the glaze has almost soaked back into the cake, so that toffee sauce is all back into the cake with the cranberries. Cake! It's the best thing ever. If you have a party without cake, it's just a meeting. That's what Julia Child said, and I can't agree more. Oh, it's like the best, or I have to, excuse me. It's like the best orange cranberry, like sour cream coffee cake experience you've ever had, like times 1,000. The buttermilk has made it so moist. The cranberries are not bitter. This orange skin's not bitter. It's just gotten in that toffee and melted completely on top. It's unreal. And then orange liqueur whipped cream isn't, I mean, I'm probably going to eat that bowl after this class, if we're being honest with you guys. Oh, Bob's Red Mill, you've done it. You've absolutely crushed it. This is an incredible recipe. I hope you're all going to make this if you're not making it right now. December's a long month. Do what you got to do. Have cake for breakfast if that's what you got to do to get through it. Cake for breakfast. That's if you're leaving here with one thing, cake for breakfast. I want to thank the incredible Chef Kat for joining us. Kat, thank you. Any last lingering questions we got out there?
We're doing pretty good, I think.
We're all cake people.
Yeah.
That's what we've agreed upon.
It all looks delicious.
Yeah, I mean, that's why homemakers are so great, because they're cake people. And then you're like, oh, okay, we're cool. You're cake people. I'm cake people. Let's hang out for years and years and years. Yeah, that's how it works. Want to thank the incredible Bob's Red Mill. I mean it when I said I have been using their products for years now. I'm a huge fan. They're out of Oregon, so they're part of our little Pacific Northwest family. Huge fans. Can't love them enough. I will say that I was at a conference once, and Bob was actually there lining up with a bunch of nerdy like food scientists to take pictures with. And it was like seeing Paul McCartney. I mean, people were falling over themselves. He was the nicest person and looked exactly like he does in the pictures, and it rocked my world. So I love you, Bob's Red Mill. Thank you for being part of us and partying with us today. We love you, homemakers. Thank you for coming to class. Next week on 12/12, we got hearty garlic meatloaf. That's going to be a good class. And then on 12/13, we got mini sticky toffee puddings, which I'm going to be teaching that one. So I'm just knee deep in cake over here, and I'm not complaining. Have a great weekend. And until we see you again, y'all, keep on cooking. Thanks for coming, everyone. Bye.